Butter go crazy.
YouTube, what's good, guys? It's your boy TD, and I'm back again with another live, guys. And today's live is going to be on my top 5 breakouts for your 2025 season. And also, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the combine. When I say we, I got some guests, and this is the panel that I've been talking about, guys. This is the guys that I want to bring up to help give y'all a different perspective. And also, guys, these guys are very, very knowledgeable. That I wouldn't bring anybody up on my platform and tell you that they was very knowledgeable if they wasn't. You know, I keep it 100 here. So the first guy I want to introduce, and y'all been knowing this guy for a while. What's up? What's going on with you, Harambe?
What up, TD? What's up, YouTube world?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything you want to say, man, before I bring up the next guest? Anything you want to talk about?
Something on my mind that I just been noticing with people. I just want to say to you guys and to myself and everyone, we need to just practice patience. We need to be good to each other, and we need to enjoy the small things and not get mad over the big things we can't control. It's a challenge for me. It's a challenge for a lot of people, but it's a good lesson in humbleness, and it'll make you a better person. Other than that, I hope you're all doing well, and I'm excited to be here. TD, what's up, man?
Yes, sir. Nothing, bro. Just decided to start getting back in football. To do a little bit different stuff for the show. I think it's going to be exciting for everybody. And on that note, I like to bring up my homeboy Sean. Y'all seen Sean? Some people call him Maximus. Some people call him Sean. He's came up on a couple shows. What's going on with you, Maximus?
No, not too much. People can find me on Spotify on Fantasy Blind Spot, or reach out on X, I guess it's called now, Maximus8911. Do a show with a guy named Alex French. He's blind. We talk football, have a lot of fun, do a lot of fun little thought process games right now during the off season. We've got about 40 guys ranked so far for rookies that are coming in. We do 2 offensive guys every show, 1 defensive guy, just to keep kind of things fresh. Next up, we are on Tuesdays and Fridays. Our next episode on Tuesday, we'll be doing a full recap of the 40 guys that we've done that have now gone in the combine, and how that might have changed our thought process for these type of guys. And what was his name? Humby again?
Harambe.
Yeah, Harambe. What he said, very good. Golden rule, thing to live by, like treat others how you want to be treated. Well said. And before we go on with the show, I just want to bring up the new starter that's going to be starting for Ole Miss here. His name's Austin Simmons. He's a quarterback. When he was 9 years old, he decided he wanted to play in the NFL, and he was going to make that a thing. And school was in his way. It was cutting into his practice time and all this sort of stuff. So at 9 years old, this guy homeschooled himself. Not his parents. He homeschooled himself, which I've never heard of. Graduates high school. By the time he even enters high school, he's got his high school degree and enough credits to graduate, but he needs to get this high school ball in before he can go and even start playing in the NCAA. He does this 4 years, but in that 4 years, while he's still focusing on football, he gets 2 college degrees. So he's already got his college degree. He can already go on into the NFL, but he needs to get this playing time now in the NCAA. So he's working on his 3rd team. This guy's smart as hell. He can run. Like, if people thought Jalen Daniels blew up on the scene, this is the next guy that's going to blow up on the scene. Like, I know we got Arch Manning in the works. He's football royalty. He's going to work out. But this is a guy to keep an eye on. Ole Miss, watch out for him this year. He's going to explode onto the scene.
Damn.
Yeah, matter of fact, let me bring him up here so everybody can kind of see him. Hold on.
He's an intellectual.
Oh yeah, like he processes like he can go through 5 reads in under 2 seconds. Like that's how smart he is.
And he's pretty athletic too.
Oh yeah, like he runs the ball. Like he was redshirted last year because obviously they had Jackson Dart, who's a guy I love in this class. Is like outside those top 2 guys they're talking about. I think Jackson Dart to me is the 3rd guy. I even like Jackson Dart better than like Cam Ward, but is where I got Jackson Dart. This guy's already head and shoulders above Dart.
Yes,
He's a
sir.
lefty.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely right. Listen, guys, I'm telling you, I've been knowing Sean. How long, Sean? About 6 years.
Well, since COVID, so yeah.
Yeah, right. And guys, Sean, as far as being on cutting edge players, this is why I've been bringing Sean up. This is why we were good friends. I'm talking. This guy's hit on a lot of guys that I was like, really? And you know, for me, that the question you when you say a player has got to be out there, and this guy has been right a lot. So yeah, guys, make sure you write this guy down. Also, what's a couple other guys that you hit on in the past, Sean, that nobody was really on?
Cooper Kupp before he was
Cooper
big.
Kupp.
I traded Demarius Thomas, his big year with Peyton Manning.
Right.
Okay. I could have got a lot more, but Cooper Kupp's on the board. The guy had 3.05 and 3.06. I traded Demarius Thomas when he was worth first for those 2 picks, and I took Cooper Kupp, and I forget who the other guy was. He didn't work out, but I wanted Cooper Kupp. And then Demarius Thomas went to nothing and then passed away, unfortunately. But Cooper Kupp's worked out like I thought he would. Jalen Daniels, obviously another one. I liked Baker Mayfield. Pacheco was another guy I liked.
Right. Right.
I'm really good at tight ends. So
Right.
I picked Travis Kelce before he blew up.
Stop it, Harambe. You got to watch Harambe. He always got the jokes.
Sorry. I'm just reacting.
Yes. But yeah, so guys, listen. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the top 5 I started off. Basically we listen, not 5, but 4 guys. I said 5. I should have actually been 4, but we're gonna list off a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and a tight end that we all like to break out this year. So I'm gonna start off. The first guy that I'm gonna talk about is gonna be Bryce Young. Yes, Bryce Young. And so usually, guys, when I see rookies or young players play, I like to look at the end of the season to get a projection. So a team or a quarterback might start off bad. They may start off turning the ball over. But if he can get better, then you can project for the next year that this team is going to take a step forward, especially when they keep the head coach and the offensive coordinator. And that's what they're doing. Bryce Young, guys, didn't he take Philly to the 4th quarter and almost beat Philly last year?
Yeah, I believe so. He came on at the end of the year, like
yes,
really
and
well.
almost beat Philly.
Those last 5 games, I think he was a top 10 QB.
Yes, he was a top 10 quarterback, and all of a sudden we went from that was a terrible pick. Carolina franchise is a disaster, and CJ Stroud is going to be the next thing like Pat Mahomes. To actually, Carolina made a good pick, and actually Bryce Young might be better than CJ Stroud. Did y'all think about that? I was like, you know what? Bryce Young still could be better than CJ Stroud. I want to ask y'all that. Do y'all think he could be?
Yes.
No.
What we saw last year, like to close it out, and then there was like 5 or 6 games he was super competitive, and also he was a fantasy top quarterback during that. They need weapons. So if they build around him and build up the lines, they're probably going to be chasing points in most of their games, and that's going to equate to stats.
Right.
That'll pad his, stats for his career. The difference from year 1 to year 2 was pretty stunning. I think they got good coaches and schemes in there. So if they could build on that and maintain consistency, he's gonna be legit. That's like a forgotten franchise. No one talks about the Carolina Panthers because they haven't been good recently, but like they have the potential to be very good.
Well, don't forget, we're going into year 3 of Dan Morgan's time as a GM in Carolina too. I think he actually knows how to build the franchise. He was there in a long time. And one of the things, it's a small little thing, but it's a big thing for Bryce Young that you guys didn't bring up here. They signed Andy Dalton to a 2-year extension because Bryce asked, because he likes that mentorship. So
there you go. Well, I knew that. That's the type of things that I look at. guys,
Well,
I learned this
I
from
know
the
you
NBA.
probably know it. It just wasn't mentioned. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right. No, but this is what I
a good
want to
point.
spend on. This is what I want to spend on. So
It's a mentor.
yes. So the NBA, I learned this from the NBA. The NBA used to have like guys that's like 15, 16 years in their career. And I'm like, this guy can't play anymore. Why you have him on the team? And I started hearing players talk about, well, listen, man, we was partying and shit. We didn't care about this. And they had to bring a veteran in to teach us how to be professionals. And so a lot of times you need a guy that can come in and let these young quarterbacks know how to prepare for a game, how to read a game plan, how to read a defense. And I think Bryce liked that combination. I think he feels comfortable with Andy Dalton. He know that Andy Dalton is not better than him. So, but he knows that Andy Dalton knows how to prepare for a game. So I think it's the best of two worlds. Yes, I thought that was a tremendous move by the Carolina Panthers.
Yep. That's a very good point. I mean, it's essentially another coach and a mentor for Bryce, and he could be a mentor off the field for him too, to keep him straight.
Facts. What was you gonna say, Sean, about the Bryce Young? You disagree? Why would you disagree with me? So you think
CJ Stroud's a better quarterback.
He had a bad season?
Well, if you go back and you watch the tape of Houston, what was their problem? It wasn't Stroud. It was the offensive line. He had no fucking time. They went out, they got Diggs, they went out and they got Mixon, but they didn't fix the actual problem that they had, which it was a slight problem that he had his rookie year, but the line was just slightly better for him. And it got slightly worse bringing in these two other veterans. They should have worked on the line. Well, they got 2 picks in the first and the second. They can go after the offensive line guys in this draft. They're pretty strong. The weak positions in this class are like the wide receiver position and probably quarterback. Like they're 2 weakest positions I find. So you can fix your line there. You bring in 2 guys with those top 2 picks. You give Stroud a couple more seconds or a second and a half. He's going to rip guys apart. Like I thought he was the number 1 quarterback in that class. I still think it was. I looked at Houston. I'm just like, you guys made your line worse. You weren't ready to bring in a guy like Stephon Diggs or friggin' Joe Mixon. Like you should have been working on that line, got a little slower, but you get that taste of the playoffs, right? You want to go back. Right. So you start speeding things up, and that's what happened. Well, now they got to take a couple steps back, bring in a couple line guys, and if they do, I think Stroud's just going to go back to ripping guys apart.
Well,
nothing against Bryce. I just think Stroud's better.
Right. You're not like necessarily wrong, but I want to make a point too. CJ Stroud's rookie year, it was a good rookie year. People hyped it up. He did well. But if you look at his stats and then you compare to someone who maybe the media was vilifying as like having a bust year, an example would be Trevor Lawrence. If you go back the year that CJ Stroud had an amazing year, Trevor Lawrence's stats were almost identical and he had a bad year. So in my opinion, the media hyped him up a little bit. I do think he's a good quarterback, obviously, but I think Bryce could be the same style of quarterback if you build around him. And also, to be fair to CJ, this prior year, he lost a couple weapons and the O-line was booty cheeks. So all that accumulated to not a lot of protection and time for him to pick apart defenses. But as far as like skill, I think they're probably pretty equivalent.
Yeah, the thing with, they might have had similar stat lines, but the difference in his rookie year was CJ Stroud was being clutch in situations and making those throws that he needed to, and Trevor Lawrence just wasn't. So they could have been similar, but it's a totally different optics when you look at when the game's on the line and CJ Stroud is pulling it off and Trevor Lawrence can't.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And I love Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he loves Trevor. He does. He loves Trevor.
I think Trevor Lawrence is in the same boat. Like the O-line hasn't been good. He's dealt with injuries. The
coaching changes. Just horrible organization.
So he had the playoff comeback win against the Chargers. That was clutch. So like he can be clutch, and I think you can make that case for almost any player. If any quarterback has a bad O-line and no weapons to throw to, the results probably aren't going to be that good unless you're like elite or can carry on plays with your legs, extend plays with your legs and whatnot. Right. So I think CJ Stroud had a down year last year, and I think he's actually going to be a steal in fantasy this year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with what you said, Sean. You broke it down. I thought Bryce was better, so I'm biased. In the beginning, I thought Bryce was better because I thought Bryce was very, very cerebral. I like cerebral quarterbacks. I thought he always made good decisions. And when Alabama wasn't the best team, he still looked good. And that's what I like to like. I know Alabama usually going to have a great team. I mean, Brody Corey was good for Alabama. But when Alabama was actually getting beat, he made some tremendous plays by evading pressure, making the right decision. He was never throwing a lot of turnovers or having a lot of turnovers. So I thought Bryce was a good quarterback that could learn and be very cerebral on the field, better than C.J. Stroud. I thought C.J. Stroud was athletic. He had a big arm, but I don't think he was as cerebral as Bryce Young. And I saw that at the end of the season. But you're right. I actually can't disagree with none of the things that you said. It was two different type of seasons between Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Stroud. Trevor had the stats, but he didn't show up in any big games. C.J. Stroud beat playoff teams and looked good. Even when they lost to Baltimore, C.J. Stroud looked good against Baltimore in that playoff game. So I give you credit for that.
Look how they came into the league too. Like Ohio State and Bama. These are big schools. They get the media attention. Bryce Young got drafted into essentially a dumpster fire. So I think that shattered his confidence. And then you saw the results as the season went on. It wasn't good.
Right.
And you saw what he can do when he's confident.
Yes.
CJ came into the league and they were hating on him for his like reading comprehension and stuff during the draft.
Facts.
Who cares? Like, you need to be a little bit smart and be able to read, but he's an Ohio State quarterback, so he's not a bum. Then he gets into the league and does very well. So like the media timeline just like completely flipped on these players. So that was fascinating to me.
Right.
Just the hype from college to pro, and then like the storylines like flip-flop for those players.
Right.
I was really worried for Bryce that he was going to get the Josh Rosen treatment once he got benched. And like nothing to do with his fault. It just that team, like you said, the team was a dumpster fire. It wasn't ready. I wouldn't have even started him as a rookie. I would have made him sit. Like
that's a great point too. He got benched and he came back and look how good he did.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. That's the next guy. I guess I'll go with you, Maximus. What is your quarterback breakout for 2025?
Well, I had Bryce Young as my number one breakout guy, but good thing I'm an overachiever here, and I've done a bunch of guys. Another guy I like to come out is Michael Penix Jr. for Atlanta. I think he's ranked 20th on Fantasy Pros. I think he can easily get within that top 10 with that offense that they got. They've got a running back. They've got a tight end. If they actually start using them, that's the only problem there is Raheem Morris' offense doesn't necessarily intertwine the tight end, but then you still got Drake London on the outside. I love Mooney too, so you got an offense there that he can work with. He's very accurate, can toss the ball, does all the throws. Like, I think he's going to explode onto the scene this year.
Right.
I got no rebuttal. I agree. That was one of my quarterbacks as well, but I came prepared as well too. So,
all right. Let me respond to Michael Penix. Was y'all okay with drafting Michael Penix over Kirk Cousins when y'all picked him up in free agent? Was y'all okay with Atlanta getting Michael Penix in the draft?
I was, because I understood the thought process where the owner just didn't want to, after Matt Ryan was gone, he didn't never want it to not have a quarterback again. And look, it worked out. Everyone made fun of them. Cousins was friggin' not great. He's blaming an injury. The management's saying they didn't know he had an injury. Whatever. We'll see what that is, because Cousins is going to get another shot somewhere.
Right.
But like, it's worked out. They're going with him this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if they take another quarterback this class. So they have one in the wings.
Right.
For real. I was okay with it too, only because it was a strategic approach like what the Green Bay Packers did.
Right.
Kirk Cousins is old. He's older. He'll get another shot for sure, but you bring that guy in and then you draft potentially the future quarterback, and then kind of like what we were talking about with Andy Dalton and Bryce Young, you have a mentor there for Penix for a little bit, if anything. I'm not sure how much he mentored him because they weren't together a long time, but I was okay with it. And I think once people thought about why they did that, they were okay with it too. But it was like a knee-jerk reaction to hate on that draft pick early.
What I would say, guys, and this is what I would confess. I'm going to self-deprecate a little bit. My weakness in fantasy is being too damn loyal. I will not drop my players. So I didn't like the pick that they picked Michael Penix over, but that's two different things. Michael Penix is a better quarterback, or he has better talent than Kirk Cousins. So I get it. But I would have rather got an offensive lineman, and I can always come back into the draft and get a quarterback the next year. So I didn't like it, but it was the right move. It was the right move. So sometimes you got to be like, you know what? I'm moving on from this. I'm gonna make the right move for my franchise. I'm gonna get the best player available. I don't really like it, but that doesn't mean it's not going to hit. So I got to give Atlanta credit. Hey, you did what you needed to do. That's a lot of money to give to a quarterback, and then you get rid of him in 1 year. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
I think it was a 2-year plan that just got bumped ahead because Cousins was just so bad.
Awful. Right.
I mean, Kirk Cousins' agent is the best, probably the best employee out of any industry in the world. So he's doing it right. So good on him.
Go ahead, Robbie. What's your quarterback?
I had Mike Penix Jr. as well. Same reasons what Maximus said. He's surrounded by weapons. He has legs too that he doesn't show off too much, but he can if he needs to escape the pocket. My quarterback is Caleb Williams. So for Caleb, he had moments of decent play last year, translated to good fantasy points. Another quarterback with weapons around him. They need to address the running back position, but they have DJ Moore, they have Cole Kmet, and they just hired Ben Johnson. So I would look for Caleb to put up bonker stats this year, even more so than what he did last year in his rookie season. And I would look for DJ Moore to have a huge year as well as Cole Kmet. Like, those players will be developed in Ben Johnson's system, and they'll be offensively much better than what we're used to seeing the last couple of years. So I'm excited for Caleb Williams, especially for fantasy.
Well, Robbie, I'm gonna have to say this. I think Caleb's gonna be a good quarterback, but I'm not touching his ass next year. I'm trying to win a championship and redraft. I'm not trying to let this guy develop it on my fantasy team. I need to see it first. So if he's on the waiver wire and I can pick him up, I'm doing it, but I'm not drafting him when I can get guys that I know is going to have a better season, like Justin Herbert. I'm not going to draft Caleb Williams over Justin Herbert. I'm not going to draft Caleb Williams over Pat Mahomes. Who are you drafting Caleb Williams over? Or you just picking him up?
I would take him over Trevor Lawrence. I'd take him over the Steelers quarterback. I could even argue taking him over Herbert, man.
Woo! Hell no, Harabi.
Yep.
Hell no.
Are we talking fantasy or are we talking real life?
Are we talking fantasy?
Yeah, go look at his stats, man. He had some nice games there. Herbert had good games too, and Herbert's gonna do Herbert things, especially with the lad. And then, if they potentially address the running back position or get him a receiving tight end, go look at Caleb Williams' stats, man. They were chasing points, so he was airing the ball out. And if they don't address the running back position, he might have to do that even more. And they'll be better than they were last year. Ben Johnson will develop his skill set. And if he could lock it in with DJ Moore and develop like a rapport and with Cole Kmet, I think he's going to be fine. So, to me, he's a breakout fantasy player for this year.
I think they're going to run the ball. You got to understand, Ben Johnson just didn't throw the ball or run the ball just because he thought that's what he needed to do. He did that to help calm Jared Goff down from the last 2 years that he had played with the Rams. He wasn't a good quarterback the last 2 years per se. So he came off running the ball. And then once Jared Goff got a little bit more comfortable, they aired the ball out. You think he just goes in with Caleb Williams and letting them throw it 45 times a game? Because in order to be a top 12 quarterback, you have to be throwing the ball more than 28 times a game. And Jared Goff this first year with Ben Johnson only was throwing the ball between 25 and 32 times a game.
If they're chasing points, you have to air the ball out. And they don't have Jahmyr Gibbs and they don't have David Montgomery.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So, that's kind of what I was saying. If they could address the running back position and they could get a balanced offense,
right,
it could potentially help Caleb like it helped Jared Goff settle into that scheme. They have DJ Moore, who is he's kind of like St. Brown. He's kind of like that same guy, but he's more of a field stretcher.
Right.
Caleb Williams has an arm and he can run too. So it's going to be a new offense for him to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't address the running back position, he's going to have to air it out. And look at the division he's in. He's in a very tough division. So they're probably going to be chasing points against a few of these teams.
Right.
Which translates to more passing.
Right. I just don't see. I think he can be a good quarterback. I just got to see it first. I wouldn't be surprised, man, if they actually get a couple good running backs and run the ball a lot with DeAndre Swift and maybe another player and just let Caleb come around slowly. is that a fantasy football winning quarterback, or is that a quarterback that's getting better? I would rather wait late on Bryce Young than to go in the middle rounds and draft a Caleb Williams and depend on him. I don't like depending on players. There's some players that I have on my team and I start, I'm not depending on them. If they play good or bad, it doesn't matter. I know what type of player I got. But if I'm depending on Caleb Williams and he plays bad, I'm going to be pissed if I draft him in those middle rounds.
I mean, you can say that for any quarterback. You draft a quarterback high and he's booty cheeks and you lose your week. So it happens for every quarterback. I think Bryce Young's going to get drafted ahead of Caleb Williams in fantasy this year. Okay. So when we're talking on waiting for a quarterback, like waiting to the late rounds, this could be a guy who could win you a league. And they're going to be chasing a potential wild card spot. They're probably going to be a bubble team again, but that translates to him playing all 4 quarters for the entire season. So that's the type of quarterback you want, and you could potentially win a title with. I won a title in one of your leagues with Bryce Young.
Right.
So like he's essentially the same. He's kind of like the same thing. And like,
right. But that was best ball though. It wasn't like, it's different. Because if I pick a guy off waiver wire and he plays good for me in the 4th quadrant, I'm good with that. I didn't draft him to be my day 1 starter and have to go through all the ups and downs. You kind of like handle that shit over there. But once you're ready to play, then I'll put you in my starting lineup.
Well, you know who I drafted to be my starting guy? Jalen Hurts. And he didn't develop, and I drafted him early. So like, yeah, it's best ball. You're not wrong, but titles are titles, bro.
Right. Yeah, it is a title. It's a title, but making that playing Bryce Young in a redraft league that you have to make that starting decision is different than he actually plays good and he slotted in that spot.
For sure. It's a valid
I traded Aaron Rodgers in a 2nd-round pick to get Bryce and won a championship with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. That's a good move.
But the one thing before we move on from Caleb here that I'd like to say is the biggest thing to Caleb's development that he needs to do to go to that next level is incorporate the tight end position. He didn't really do it in tight end. He's always looking for that gunplay. Learn to check down. That's what the greatness ones do. Okay, it's not there. I'm going to check down. It'll be there next. Once he can bring in that Cole Kmet, and it's just it's not really that he's got to develop the rapport with Kmet. They're on the same sort of page when he looks there. He just doesn't look there often. This is what the problem is. So Ben Johnson's got a system goes through the tight end. So it's going to be a different mindset that he's going to start out probably slow for the first 6 games.
That's my point. That's all.
Then pick up after that.
That's my point. And I think we all kind of saying the same thing. And you actually, Harambe, you would say that you okay with that, him starting off slow, or if I'm putting words in your mouth.
I'm okay with it if I draft well. Like
again,
right. It's strategy. You're not gonna draft a bunch of wide receiver 2s and running back 2s and then draft Caleb to be your starter. It's not gonna be good.
There you go. You're right.
If you draft well, say you draft like some good receivers and you could stack Cole Kmet and Caleb Williams way late in a draft. That's a nice little stack. DJ Moore with Caleb. I think you get Caleb dirt cheap this year, and I think he'll deliver borderline low QB1 numbers with some nice games.
Right. All right, let's do a couple comments. I've seen a couple comments that I wanted to address. Hector, we're gonna get to your question a little bit later, but right now, Fantasy Network says, are we going to get a members only league going this upcoming season? Should be fun to have a super competitive league with some great minds. So I guess I would say we already have a league like that, Fantasy Network. And I got a couple openings. I got some orphan leagues, so I will actually send out some teams that I have that's available for you to sign up with. What would you say, Harambe? You played in one of the leagues, and also you too, Maxim. What would y'all say about the leagues that we play in?
They're fun, man.
Your IDP.
Yep.
They're fun, and you can learn, stuff from other people's perspectives, which I always think is a good thing in fantasy. It's fun to chop it up. It's fun to roast each other a little bit. It's good, man.
Right.
Yeah, and the only thing I'd say is people need to learn their IDP a little bit more in those leagues, because a lot of them, I think it's their first IDP league. They'll get there.
They
understand the offense.
Right. Another question. Let me see. Siobhan, what's going on, Siobhan? What's going on, Travis? Jake Anderson says Stroud and the Texans will get a new start with newly hired Nick Caley. How do y'all feel about that? Like, you think Stroud gonna be better this year because of Nick?
I think Stroud will have a bounce back year. He lost all his weapons and he had a terrible O-line. And Joe Mixon came in and took a lot of potential passing touchdowns away.
True.
I think it gets better, but they got to address that offensive line in the draft or free agency.
I agree.
Jake also says the decline wasn't all due to Stroud taking a step back, but rather a poor offensive game plan. And I would say it's a little bit of everything because the offensive line didn't play great, but sometimes you got to get the ball out quick, and you can't hold on to the ball when you have a bad offensive line.
Do you guys think adding Joe Mixon took away from maybe a little bit of development in his second year because they were more run happy?
I don't think so.
I think it did a little bit.
I do too.
They were running the ball a lot more. Like that was more part of the game plan, and it was just I don't think his heart was in it as much because he just
the run game only helps a quarterback. It only helps a quarterback.
Yeah,
I've never seen it hurt Brock Purdy. I've never seen it hurt Troy Aikman. These guys just they played through the play action game, and C.J. Stroud got to learn. Tom Brady did. All these Eli Manning. You have to learn to play the game through the play action because it's hard to drop back every time and say I'm gonna throw it 60 times and I'm gonna be better than you. It's only Dan Marino and maybe I don't know. Help me out, Elway. Like who's a quarterback could throw it and you know they throwing it and you still can't stop them. Like it's hard to do it that way.
Yeah, Manning for sure.
Joe Burrow.
Joe is the one, and even they need a run game. Is that you just can't chuck it to Jamar Chase every single time?
I mean,
I just don't think the Texans had a healthy balance between run and pass.
Yeah, right.
I'm excited to see CJ Stroud this year, based on year 1 and year 2, and kind of see how he responds to this year. He should have a healthy team,
right?
But yeah, gotta address that O-line for sure.
Let me see. Okay, we can do a couple more comments and then we'll come back to the other ones. Somebody said Bo Nix and Drake May. I do think those guys are going to be good quarterbacks. I still think they still in their development stages, so I would rather wait late on these guys. Even Bo Nix. I need Bo Nix to get more weapons. I need Drake May to get more weapons, and I need to see these guys play at that level before I start drafting them in a money league.
These are both guys I thought about. Bo Nix, to me, he's kind of already come on the scene. Like, I wouldn't say he's going to break out. He's kind of already here. And then Drake May, I cannot fucking stand Mike Vrabel. I think he's the worst fucking NFL coach since fucking Josh McDaniels from that fucking tree. The fucking guy gets way too much fucking credit. What did you do? You won a fucking division. All right. You fucking won that division when Andrew Luck fucking retired. You had Urban Myers going around being a fucking idiot. And the fucking Texans had Deshaun Watson with the case of the fucking rapeseas. I could fucking take the Texans and win the goddamn division. And then so now that I fucking love May. May was my favorite quarterback of that class, but I am off of Drake May because of Mike Vrabel.
Right.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I agree with Bo Nix. I told you, I think in the Discord, TD, I'm like, this guy's a QB1.
Right.
I expect him to. Remember Josh Allen's first year? How we
it's just the same. I agree with you. I compute those two are kind of like doppelgangers a little bit.
I remember I watched Josh Allen's rookie year, and I think it was against I want to say the Vikings. He showed out. He was rushing the ball. He was throwing the ball around. I'm like, this guy's gonna be legit. And then he became legit. And then I think that's kind of the same thing with Bo Nix. And he has the perfect coach to develop his skill set.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels.
Do you know that Sean Payton, when they drafted him and he got that phone call, after he answered, Sean Payton rang the doorbell.
And
said, we're drafting you. Like, that's how fucking all in Sean Payton is on Bo Nix.
I hate the Broncos, but Bo Nix is I'm a fan of Bo Nix. He's good.
Right. That's why I believe in coaching over players. I believe in coaching. I would take a guy that's being coached by Andy Reid or any great offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, over a guy just because he's super talented. And I have never seen maybe one quarterback. Andrew Luck might be the only quarterback. I don't care who his offensive coordinator is. He's so good that he can overcome it. And you see what happened to his career because of that. They didn't protect him, and it killed his career. But usually, I want a good coach with a quarterback. I don't want just to go for the talent. I like Coaching.
When you get to that level, the coaching, the talent's already there. So the coaching can unlock the true potential.
Facts. The Fantasy Network says, I have a homie who doesn't ever drop his players he draft, and he's still very successful. Yeah, I do. I think that is a strategy because things change. There's different quadrants of the season. If you believe in the player, hold on to him. It's probably going to change for him.
Yep.
Michael, what's up, Michael? He says Stroud problems were largely attributed to the offensive line. They gave up 54 sacks. That's what Maximus and Harambe was saying. Facts. Fantasy Network says Caleb would be very good this season. He's my breakout quarterback as well. Okay.
Yep.
Michael says he's right. Bears went all in on Beard Johnson. He's widely considered the top available coach on the market. Facts. And he says Williams finished around the top 15 in fantasy scoring. Could do even better under Johnson. That's true.
Miko.
Stop that damn clapping, Harambe. Stop that damn clapping.
He's dropping knowledge, man.
Felice Johnson says, come on, TD. The Bears already have playmakers around Williams to enable his progression. Yes, but he got to take the coaching. I got to see it. He's never been, when to have somebody came to Caleb Williams his whole life and said, hey, you need to work on something. Nobody's never told him that. So I want to see him be able to work on something. To get off context a little bit, but it's the same thing. Michael Jordan came into Carolina, and I believe what took Michael Jordan game to the next level, he learned the fundamentals from Dean Smith. So when a high-end player like that with talent can learn, then that's when I can attribute, okay, this guy's going to be special. I need to see Caleb get his game broke down, quick run around in the pocket every single play, and be able to get the ball out quick to the tight end like Sean says, and then I could agree with it. But I need to see it first. I just can't go with it off of next year. But y'all guys could be right from the beginning, from the game one.
You're not wrong, but you just said good coaching unlocks potential. And Johnson, I think, is going to be a godsend for that team and franchise. I think the future is very bright for the Bears.
Right. Siobhan says, what pick are y'all taking, Genty? Probably third or fourth.
Too early to tell yet, I'd say. I got to see who drafts them.
Yeah, I'm not going to even answer that until we know Siobhan, because he could go to some booty cheeks team and you wasted a draft pick.
Right.
Yeah, look at Bijan's first year under Arthur Smith. He wasn't that great.
Right.
Talent's there.
So Maxim, I guess you can start off with the running back. Who's your running back breakout this year?
All right, so this guy kind of already had a breakout year, but I think I'm using him because I think he's going to go to a next level.
Wait. Let me guess. Is he in the NFC South?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I thought he was going to say that too. I thought he was going to say Bijan too. I did too.
Nope. I thought he was going to say Bucky.
I'm going with James Cook. I think his touchdowns will come down a little bit, but he's got a new contract he wants to negotiate. As part of that contract, he wants more playing time. He only did a third of the runs, and he was in the top 10. He was 10th for running back last year. I think he's going to go into that top 5, be used probably 60%.
They have to.
And get into that next top 5.
They have to.
Yeah, they have to.
Falling
Tyler
short,
Johnson should not have been playing as much as he was. Bring in Ray Davis to spell him, and that's all you need.
What the fuck are they doing? Excuse me,
how much,
guys?
TD? How much do we hate Sean McDermott? A lot.
He's a great defensive coordinator, but he cannot handle personnel decisions.
No, not at all. I think Bean's doing a great job, and they probably would have won a Super Bowl if they would have fired McDermott by now. But he's a fucking horrible coach.
We said that a year and a half ago. He's trash.
Well, I live in the heart of Bills country. I've been hearing how bad McDermott is for over 5 years. I also heard all these fucking Bills fans when I was telling them Josh Allen was the best quarterback in the class telling me he's shit. I'm like, that's the guy you need. He's the guy. Look, have you seen him throw through a fucking car wash? Have you been in Buffalo through those wins? That's the guy you need.
There's no reason Cook needs 20 touches a game.
Oh, yes. More. 25 at least. And then 4 or 5 pass catches too.
18 carries, 7 targets, something like that.
Right. But it's the Josh Allen effect. It's the same thing with Jalen Hurts.
He's great.
But I believe Saquon was good enough to beat that role. Okay, Jalen Hurts, you still going to have to give it to Saquon because this guy is special. I believe what Sean is saying that, James Cook is that special too, but is damn Josh Allen going to actually give that up and say, here you go, James Cook, let me let you get this right. touchdown.
I don't even think it's Josh Allen. I think it's the coaching, because what the fuck is Tyler Johnson doing out there in the same fucking plays that James Cook could fucking run, and not only run them at a fucking more high efficient rate. And he's got that home run fucking speed where every time he touches the ball, he could fucking take it to the house. Why are you taking this guy off the field? That is a Sean McDermott problem right off the fucking hop. He should have been going, this guy needs to have 80% of the running back fucking carries. And I'll say this, with this running back class, I said it last year, this is when the 3-down running back comes back. We're going back to guys that don't come off the fucking field this year.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. I will even say that if I was James Cook, I wouldn't sign back with the Buffalo Bills, because I remember his first year and second year when he fumbled, they would take him out of the game. Who in the hell does that? Like
we went off over that, TD.
Yes. Yep.
What an idiot.
Bullshit.
I remember, because they fumbled, they benched his ass, and we're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Josh Allen fumbled, I think, twice in that game. He didn't get benched. I get it. He's the head of the snake. He's the quarterback. But, like, dude, you're sending mixed messages to your players, and you're killing.
Right. You got to be able to let a young player, bro. You got to let a young quarterback throw picks, have a 3-pick game. You don't bench a young rookie quarterback if he had 3 picks in the game. You don't bench a young running back if he fumbles. You have to imagine. Listen, you growing from here. Now, if you are a damn vet and you fumble, I still don't believe in benching, but you got to take a little bit more of accountability. But you got to let this guy figure out the NFL, learn how to protect the ball at the NFL. Not if you make a mistake, your ass coming out of the game. Come on, man. Get the hell out of here with that bullshit.
Can you, like, imagine James Cook on the Eagles or on the Chiefs? Like, this guy will be putting up bonkers numbers. Like, let him play.
Yeah, well, that's why they didn't win in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
Right. That's why they're out. Didn't make the Super Bowl, even though they're favorites.
Go ahead, Harambe. Who was your running back breakout for 2025?
Maximus isn't going to like this, but my running back breakout for this year is Ramondre Stevenson.
Ooh, that's edgy. Come on. Let me hear it, because I'm going to get on your ass about that. Because Ramondre got bent the last 3 games of the season.
Coaching change, you bring in the tougher Vrabel, you bring in McDaniels, who exposes defenses with slot receivers, tight ends, and the running back.
Right.
Remember, before he signed, he was catching a lot of balls, so he had PPR value, and that kind of diminished the last couple of years when they brought in Zeke, and then when they
Gibson.
Yeah, and Antonio Gibson. So I would expect him to kind of get a lot of that PPR value back in the McDaniels system. And Maximus talking about a 3-down running back. This is the kind of guy you want on the field for 3 downs, and he can catch passes out of the backfield. So I'd expect him to have a career year this year in that system.
One thing about Josh McDaniels that I would push back, because you make a great point. Josh McDaniels don't give a damn about a running back. He never has. He didn't care nothing about James Wright. He didn't care nothing about LeGarrette Blount. He didn't care nothing about Stephen Ridley. He didn't care nothing about none of these guys. The guys that you wanted to have on this team is win the 3rd-down running back. I don't know. It's hard for me just to trust a New England running back. And then you went back to the New England guy, to the Josh McDaniels. I might play a guy or stream a guy on a week, but I don't know if I want to draft him as an anchor for my team.
I think he's a perfect running back too this year.
I think he's the only guy we're throwing in on the offense for New England this year.
I mean, you brought up who's the prior running back you brought up for the Patriots?
LeGarrette Blount and James White.
So James White, this is a no-name guy who was in that system and got his name from that system.
Yes.
He was a top 10 running back one year because of PPR value.
Right.
In my opinion, Ramondre's a better physical running back, maybe not a better pass catching running back, but he has that skill better than some other 3-down backs.
Yes.
I just think he's going to break
better than most guys.
Yeah.
That's what's going to keep him out there for that 3rd down is his blocking ability.
Yeah, he just needs to stay healthy, but I think he's going to flourish in this system.
Oh, yeah, especially when now you got Drake May. You got to worry about running the ball out, too.
Dude, if they don't add some stud receivers, it's going to be check down city, man. And you got a aging Hunter Henry, too. Like, he's going to catch a lot of balls this year, pause.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I take Ramondre Stevenson in like the 6th, 7th, 8th round for value as a flex play, but I don't want him with my RB2 position. That's just me. That doesn't mean it won't work out for you. I do believe this guy's going to get goal line touches, and I do know that he's a great pass catching running back at 250 pounds. But to me, with Josh McDaniels, it seems like it's a revolving door, and that's why James White was a good running back, because the starting running back wasn't even James White, but
James White was a good running back because of Tom Brady.
Yes,
he did whatever Tom Brady wanted.
Tom Brady
fed him.
Well, Garrett Blount scored 20 touchdowns in that system.
Right. But don't you know that was mostly in like the playoffs in certain games? He was never used consistently. It would just be like, it's snowing today? Well, here's this weapon we about to deploy on your ass.
He signed 2 years ago, I want to say he signed his contract, Ramondre.
Yeah, yes. 2 years ago.
Yeah. Last year. He got a new deal last year.
Yeah, I would imagine the head coach will probably talk to the OC and be like, hey, run this dude into the ground. We need to build a new culture here. That's a good guy to deal with, in my opinion.
I like
going on to my guy, my running back breakout this year is going to be Tyrone Tracy. Now, listen, to give y'all context, I would say Tyrone Tracy is just like James White. I don't think he's going to be the full-time running back and get 90% of the carries in this backfield. But I trust him in the pass catching role. He's a good blocker. He's explosive. He can line up at the wide receiver position. I like Tyrone Tracy just to give you some PPR value, flex play, wait late to get the guy. Don't draft this guy to be getting 20 carries a game, but I will trust this guy to get 10 to 15 touches a game. One thing that we learned in fantasy, just because you had a good season don't mean the team is going to let you be the starter. I remember James Robinson was the number one running back coming from the Chargers. Not the Chargers, but the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they end up drafting a guy, and I'm like, you got the number one running back in the league. Why would you draft another guy? Because he was drafted in the 5th or 6th round. No, matter of fact, he was undrafted. So I don't trust running backs unless you are drafted in the 1st round for a team to deploy you the next season. I think running backs are very volatile, and no teams care. They don't care who their starting running back is. So I like Tyrone Tracy to make sure that you get PPR value. He's going to be a good PPR back. He's going to catch 5 or 6 passes a game. He's going to have a nice floor. But yeah, I like Tyrone Tracy going into the next year.
Yeah, I thought about Tracy myself, but the thing that got after is just what you just said. This running back class for this class is insane. Right. Insane. If they take a guy in the 4th or the 5th round,
he can start.
That guy's probably better than Tyrone Tracy. And then you think, because the Giants, Tyrone Tracy used to be a wide receiver. Why don't we move him to the fucking slot? So this is my thought process on what Dable's going to do to open up that offense more. If he can get a guy like who am I thinking here, running back wise? The guy from Kansas that I can't think, Dean Neal, I think. Okay. If you can get him in like the 5th, like that guy could friggin' blow up in that system. Move Tracy to the slot, and now you got Nabbers on the outside. You only need to worry about one more freaking guy on the outside.
Right.
So if that's why I get Tracy, but I do like him.
If they go get a veteran fill in, like say they get Stafford or something,
Stafford already signed back with the Rams, Harami.
Yeah. Oh, he did? It's looking like Aaron Rodgers is going to the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, then even so, if you get a guy like that to check it down to Tracy, and he can get creative in the offense too. Like he could throw in his little whataboutisms to switch plays up and whatnot. And Tracy's skill set is good. He was a wide receiver in college, and I had him as a flex on my redraft team last year. He did very well. Right. And if you improve the quarterback play, add a couple wrinkles on offense, and then having Neighbors there developing as well, like those two guys could develop together.
Right. I will say before we move on that Tracy, I was on Tracy all last year. I said he was the best running back in the draft. But the reason why I like his skill set, so I will give him an opportunity to be the starter because he is special. He does move nice in the pocket. Like he can make people miss. He runs hard. And he blocks. Now he's a smaller running back, but he could put some weight on. So don't be surprised if he's a starter because I don't think he's just gonna let somebody come in there and beat him out. I think he's on the same level as Chase Brown. Chase Brown, he didn't start that much his first year, but the next year Chase Brown went and started. Now Chase Brown, that's a whole nother conversation. I don't know if he's going to be the only running back getting carries in that backfield for the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think Chase Brown got a nice role, and he's explosive enough to be used for fantasy. And the same thing with Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy is really good. He is an athletic guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't disagree. I love Chase Brown, man. Walmart Eckler.
Right. Michael says, what about Chase Brown? He's heavily used in a top 5 offense. Brown has the potential to go off. Yeah, but I don't want to get too far into this, but they need a bigger running back. And the back, Khalil Herbert ain't that guy. So I'm not saying Chase Brown is not going to be fantasy valuable, but I don't think he's going to be getting 80% touches in his backfield. I think he's going to be more of a 70-30, 65-25 type guy.
I'm a Bengals fan. Chase Brown's a stud. I've liked Chase Brown. TD could attest for this. I've talked about him for over a year now before the season even started. They do need a big goal line back or a guy who could get the short yardage if need be. I would love to see them sign a guy like Najee or something like that. I think that's pretty badass. But Chase Brown's a stud, man. I would expect him to have probably a slightly better year than he did last year. Maybe a couple more scores.
Right.
He's also Canadian.
Is he?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and his twin brother plays for the Eagles, Sidney Brown.
Yeah. Sidney Brown, right. Yeah, he played free safety, right.
Yeah.
That Fantasy Network says Tyrone Tracy may get replaced in the draft. You're right.
He could.
Yeah, he was a 4th round pick, so we know that can happen. He says they have a ton of slot wide receivers, so they won't do that. Well, what they can do is take him out of the backfield and put him in motion to line up there. That's the I would say the chess of the game. Like, it's like a game. So if you put him at running back and then you put him in motion, whoever's guarding him is probably going to be a linebacker. So he can beat that guy. But no, they're not going to move his position to a straight slot over Wan'Dale Robinson and a couple other guys that got on that team.
Wan'Dale's pretty good, man.
Yeah, Wan'Dale's pretty good. He just had that injury, and then Daniel Jones slowed down his progression. Okay, so who's next? I guess I'll go with you. What you laughing at around me? Be laughing at Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
I can't wait till Daniel Jones pulls a Sam Darnold, and I want to know what all y'all gonna say then.
Oh,
don't say nothing to me. I don't want to hear it. Don't say nothing to me when he pulls a Sam Darnold, because we all said that Sam Darnold sucked.
Daniel Jones had decent fantasy game logs.
He did.
If you guys go back and look at his game logs, you'll be like, oh, okay.
And he won a playoff game against the Vikings with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I won $500 that day. That was sick. Thanks, Daniel Jones.
Right. Okay, Harambe, I think you go start off with the wide receiver. Who is your breakout wide receiver for this year?
I wrote down several. This guy's probably pretty obvious, and it goes with what Maximus was saying for his quarterback. I got Drake London breaking out this year, big time.
Yeah, with Michael Penix, that's a great. Well, I don't want to call Drake London a breakout. That's the reason. That's I would call him more as a bounce back.
I mean,
Drake London is a top 5 pick.
I mean, for him, like what we saw with him in Penix, he was putting up monster stat lines.
Monster numbers, right.
I want to see that all year with Penix. So, like, for me, when you talk about guys like BTJ getting in that upper echelon, I think Drake London could get real close to that this year.
Right. Facts. Yeah, I like Drake London with Michael Penix. I got to give Atlanta credit again. Those wide receivers need guys with arm talent. This is not Antonio Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown just getting a lot of separation. Kyle Pitts is not a guy that gets a lot of separation. So does Drake London. But if you got a strong arm, you could put it where only the wide receiver can get it. And these guys are great contestant catching guys. I don't know why they use Kyle Pitts the way they do. Kyle Pitts is a fade guy. You put him out there at the tight end position or the wide receiver position and let him run a fade, run straight up the field. One-on-one. He's not a route running guy. So is Drake London. These guys are average route runners, but they are top tier
contestant catch guys.
And Penix could throw.
Penix can do it. Facts. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. He's got the boom.
Yes. Go ahead, Maximus. Who are your wide receiver?
Jeez, I got about the 4 written down here on that. Which one? I
wrote down 6.
Nobody going to repeat.
Mm-mm.
Well, you got the obvious ones here, which is Ricky Pearsall, right?
Yeah, I had him down, but I changed it. Right.
But I'm going to go with Rome Odunze getting
Break
into that
it!
YR1 type of category.
Yes.
Keenan Allen obviously had that YR2 job last year. I think you'll see him more as just be a slot guy come out. Let's get this Rome Odunze connection going with Caleb, with Ben Johnson. So if he's going to be on the field more, I think he's just shoot up close to that borderline, right? YR2,
Right.
YR1 numbers. Going to have YR1 weeks, but solid YR2. And I also like Xavier Legette this year.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Tuesday one I like, man. I think Caleb's going to develop, and then with Ben Johnson, and he's not even like the wide receiver one. So TD, when you talk about Addison and stuff, obviously the scenario is different. DJ Moore is not Justin Jefferson,
Right.
but it's going to have situations like that where maybe they're double covering DJ Moore, focusing more on Cole Kmet, and Odunze is going to be single covered and free to do his thing. So it should be a good year for him. I think that's a really good pick, Maximus.
Maximus, I disagree. I don't think it's a good pick. I understand why you're picking it. I understand his draft capital. But when I watch Odunze, this is what I see. He's more like what's the guy that played for the 49ers? And he was on his second team, Brandon Lloyd, right, Maximus?
Brandon Lloyd started with the Niners, then he went to Denver.
Yeah, so Brandon Lloyd was a contestant catch guy. I believe that Odunze is a jump ball wide receiver.
Brandon Lloyd is not a contested catch guy. He was like an acrobatic fucking catcher.
That's what I mean. That's what kind of Odunze can jump up, and I could be turned sideways and still come down with the ball.
Yeah, it's not really contested. It's like these amazing body control fucking catches.
Body control. That's a better way for putting it. Yes, and I still call it contesting catch because if it's one-on-one, Odunze going up high to go get that ball.
In a way, it is. I don't know. I just look at it as more. It's not really like the defender didn't really have a chance at it.
Right.
He did, and he had to do this amazing thing with his body to come down and bounce.
Okay.
Right? Like that's how I look at it.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, TD.
Okay.
What's the other wide receiver on that team?
DJ Moore.
The other one.
Right now it's Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen is one of the best route runners in the game. He's underrated, and he is in that mentorship role now for him. So I can see Keenan kind of dropping some knowledge on Odunze on some route running and maybe some more technicality going into this season. So nothing crazy, but like that's a little factor you got to consider as well.
Well, DJ Moore is one of the best route runners in the league.
DJ Moore is underrated.
He is underrated. He's underrated. I just see Odunze. This is kind of what's going to hurt Caleb. But as time go on, I think Caleb and him have a chemistry. But waiting for that deep ball, you got to have something else in your game. I need to see Odunze go to the next level. I just need to watch it. I'm not going to draft him on my team. There's too many good wide receivers. I'd rather have Jameson Williams. It's a lot of other wide receivers that's in that lane, in that tier that I would rather have. I just think Odunze is going to get 2 or 3 catches a game. It might be 80 yards, but is that going to put you ahead to make you be a top 12 wide receiver? I don't think Odunze is a top 12 wide receiver in this offense.
Oh, see, I think he's going to get 6-7 looks a game.
Right. Is that enough, though, to be top 12?
If he catches 5-6 a game, that's probably around 100 yards and a touchdown.
Okay. I just see him as a different – right. I just see him as a different type of guy. I see him as – you know how each team got a deep threat, but do you play that deep threat in fantasy? Only maybe on bye weeks? I see him as like a bye week replacement. I don't see him being your wide receiver too. You feel good about him getting the targets to win that.
Who's the Bears' deep threat, Goody?
He's a good guy to draft and then just kind of let chill on the bench for a while.
I'm okay with that. Would you say
you gotta think too, though? Who's the Bears' deep threat?
DJ Moore.
Exactly. So when DJ Moore is running down the field, who's doing the underneath stuff now? It's Rome Odunze. So if he's not open, who you checking down? It's a different situation than Jefferson and Addison. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because DJ Moore is the deep threat guy. He's the one that's going to be running down the field, but that's not always going to be open, and you're going to get those check downs. So there's your 5 catches right there. Because you're going to run DJ Moore at least 3-4 times a game downfield.
This is what I would say. I think he's going to be in ADOT. I think he's going to lead the league in ADOT. I think that's going to be Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift role in the middle of the field. I don't think Odunze going to be going across the middle that much. He is a good route runner. I watched him run routes, but I think he's just going to be the guy when we want to throw it deep, kind of like the Jameson Williams. he's going to have that role. And it took a long time before Jameson started getting enough targets where you actually could start him on a weekly basis. And I'm nitpicking here. It's not that he's not good, but are you going to start him every week? Odunze. And I kind of agree with what Rami said. He's kind of guy that I might draft, but I got to see what you're going to do. So that's why I'm nitpicking you a little bit and saying, well, it might be other better picks out there. It might take Odunze a while to get going. But I could be wrong.
I think probably by the third or fourth quadrant, he might be a guy you put in the lineup.
Okay.
I think it's a good take. And I think the Bears are going to be better offensively, and he's a offensive player on the Bears, so I would imagine he will do better as well, but he has to develop a little bit more. I'd be more on Odunze pause in his next season, having 2 years under the offensive scheme.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Moving on to my guy, my wide receiver. It's going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now, I have to choose between him and Ricky Pearsall. I like Ricky, but I already did a video on Ricky when I said Ricky was going to be a sleeper. So I went to Jackson Smith-Njigba. And I've been so disappointed in DK. It ain't that DK is a bad player. It's the scheme. The scheme has changed so much. And so they had to go to Jackson Smith-Njigba in the middle of the season, and he was the number one wide receiver for this team. Jackson Smith-Njigba is what's the difference between him and Amon-Ra? I'm going to ask you that, Maximus. What's the difference between Amon-Ra and Jackson Smith-Njigba? I don't see a difference.
JSN's a little faster.
Okay, we can take that. I'll take that.
That's about it.
That's about it. The same body structure. Pause. Harambe. Pause. Same body structure. They both are short and stocky. They got great ball skills. So I like Jackson Smith-Njigba, and I would take Jackson Smith-Njigba over Rome Odunze.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so would I.
Right. But
I already kind of looked at Jackson Smith-Njigba in my mind. He's already kind of come onto the scene.
But when you said it kind of the same tier a little bit, though, or am I crazy? These two different tiers?
JSN is above him already, in my opinion, from what we saw this year. And I agree with you, TD. I think this year, JSN's going to have a year that St. Brown had 2 years ago.
Come on now.
Yeah. How high would you draft JSN?
If I go robust RB, he could be my number one wide receiver coming off the board. I could draft him in the third round.
Third for me.
Fantasy Pros has JSN at 13th in the third tier with Drake London, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Ladd, Marvin Harrison, and T. Higgins.
So that's unfair. So that's unfair for me to put Rome Odunze on him. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I just don't. I would rather have Jackson Smith-Njigba because of the targets. It's not who are better, because I know Rome Odunze is a great down the field wide receiver, but it's about targets. I need
120 catches maybe this year.
Yes.
Something like that. Breakout guy,
They're going to probably trade DK. You can't coach him, so you probably trade DK.
What do you guys think of Jordan Whittington in LA with Kupp going to be gone?
No. Somebody else is coming there. I believe. I could be wrong.
I think they try to run more with two running backs.
Yeah, they should. They got freaking Corum.
Blake Corum's a stud. I would expect him to have a good year. Maybe not a breakout year, but he's no slouch.
Right. Okay. So Maximus, I guess we'll move on to a tight end. Pause, Harambe. Pause. Harambe. Who's your tight end, Maximus, that you think is going to break out in 2025?
Tavion Sanders for the Carolina Panthers.
Leave Bryce Young alone, man. Leave Bryce Young alone.
Hey, I don't know. That offense to me,
the
Panthers, I think they probably finish somewhere between 15th and 10th in the offense. Bryce likes the tight end position. Sanders is going to come into the season starting healthy, so he's going to come in as tight end one. I just think he's going to, he's not going to be crazy, but he could flirt around that top 10 position for the tight end. Like the top 5 are pretty set, so he'll be in that 10 to 6 area.
Last year in a couple of game logs, he had 12, 13 targets or something. Mm-hmm. It was ridiculous. So if they could do that all year and the Panthers ascending better offensively. Yeah, and they've never really had a good enough tight end since Olsen. So maybe they rehatch that position in that franchise. Yeah, that's a great pick, man. I like
Right.
that.
Walls, they hit Wesley Walls back in the day.
Who?
You remember Wesley Walls? Yeah. Well, he was a tight end. He was like when they first came out as a expansion team.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then they went and got Greg Olson.
Yeah.
From the Bears.
Right.
Who was their first coach? Was John Fox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Those were the
That's
days.
with Ray Caruth and Biaka Batuka. Remember Ray Caruth?
Ray Caruth?
You don't know what happened with Ray Caruth?
Uh-uh.
I hope I don't get flagged. My channel doesn't get flagged by even saying his name.
Who?
Ray Caruth. But yes, he murdered his wife, or his girlfriend was pregnant, and he paid a hitman to go murder his wife. And the baby lived and had cerebral palsy. But before she died, she said Ray set me up. And he was in the middle of his career, man. He was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Y'all don't remember that story?
I do, now that you mentioned it. I totally
I do too.
He was hiding in the trunk. They found him in the trunk.
I don't remember his name. I remember the murder though.
Yeah, I remember it now that you mentioned the story. Like, I think a stand-up comedian had a joke about it or something.
There you go.
That's bad, dude. That's bad.
Ray Caruth ass up in the trunk. That was the comment. That was what the comedy said. Why your ass up in the trunk for? Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry, where was we at, guys? You were saying, Maximum, you were talking about Jatavion Sanders, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Jatavion Sanders, I was trying to stream him a lot last year, but they it was never consistent enough for me to start him.
No, he was also coming off that knee injury too, I believe.
Right.
So
right.
he was always going to be a slow kind of guy.
Too. Yeah. Go ahead, Harami. Who's your tight end? Paul.
He kind of broke out at moments this last year, but I think this year will be a better year for him. Cade Otton. You got an aging Mike Evans. He should get close again to 1,000 yards to carry on that tradition he's done. Chris Godwin got hurt last year. He was balling out, so I would expect them to throw Cade Otton out there more to move the chains. And if you have that strong running game with Bucky, he might have a lot of short to intermediate opportunities as well for checkdowns, and he could score when you're near the goal line.
Right. He did. He had Cade Otton had when was it Mike Evans went down? Cade Otton was the #1 tight end for like 3 weeks.
If he gets the targets on a per game basis, he's going to be easily a top 10 tight end.
Right. Okay, so let me go to my tight end and pause. This is the guy I thought y'all was gonna name this guy, but it's gonna be Kyle Pitts.
I had him written down, but I felt that was I figured one of you guys would say him, so I just
I did too. Listen, with the jump ball, so with Michael Penix's arm, I think it's going to unlock Kyle Pitts. I thought Kyle Pitts last year when he had that crazy game where he threw the interception to another guy, he was like, "Damn, you actually gonna throw me the ball? Nobody's threw me the ball since my rookie season." So he was surprised. And then the next game, Kyle Pitts was a top 5 tight end. So pause. So this is what I would I think Kyle Pitts is going to be at least top 12 as a floor, and he's going to have a lot of in red zone targets because of Michael Penix's arm strength. So what makes Michael Penix good? If you want in zone, you got to be throw it into holes, and you got to have a strong arm. I believe that Kyle Pitts running up the seam and you playing cover 2, you have no chance to stop him. And I believe Michael Penix could put the ball there. I love Kyle Pitts this year. I'm not saying that I'm going to draft him as a top 5 guy, but I would, if I wait late and I don't get Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, I don't mind waiting late and getting Kyle Pitts. You always can stream tight ends. So if your tight end is not playing good, you can stream a tight end. You can go find a guy that can give you at least 7 points a game. So I believe Kyle Pitts is going to at least average 7 to 10 points this year.
Yeah, on this pick, I don't disagree. We've wanted this guy to ball out for the last, 3 years, and especially his rookie year, 1,000 yards. I would expect touchdowns to go up.
Me too.
A lot.
See, all right, I'll be the pushback guy here. Being a Gators fan, love fuck Kyle Pitts, but I am fucking off of him until he's out of Atlanta. Atlanta just doesn't use the tight end position. Not only that, Michael Penix, even in college, doesn't look towards the tight end. He likes the outside sort of stuff. He prefers to go to a slot receiver or check down to a running back than a tight end. So I think the woes of Kyle Pitts continues. I don't think they pick up his 5th-year option, and I think he's on a new team next year. And then that's where I want to see where he goes, because right now he's in a system where it's not going to use the tight end.
So Travis Kelce replacement.
That's what I was about to say. How do y'all feel about that?
And this is a guy I didn't say because I thought you guys were going to bring him up. Noah Gray. Go out and buy Noah Gray this year everywhere, because last offseason, so this time last year, Patrick Mahomes started film studying himself. And he said that what I noticed was when I was throwing to Kelce, Noah Gray was also open. So I want to get him more involved. And that's why you saw Noah Gray play more last year. And kind of split that time with Kelce. You'll see that kind of slightly grow, and you're going to see the Kelce kind of come down, and Noah Gray's going to go up, and then they'll use Kelce in the playoffs again. But for the season, Noah Gray's another guy I like.
I scooped him up 2 years ago in Dynasty, so he's just rotting on my bench. But I think he'll be my starter for most of the year, probably.
Right. Let me see here.
That's a good one. That's a sleeper tight end for sure for this year.
Okay, guys, because we're getting a little. I want to keep this down. I don't want this video to go too long. Let's go ahead and talk about our combine guy. And my combine guy is going to be simple. I told Maximus this early, like last year. Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I love Shedeur.
I don't want him to run the. Why would you run the 40? Why would you throw?
Why would you do anything? You're the best quarterback in the class.
Right. So if I guess I say Gazelle Bunsen. If Gazelle's going to a model agency, she like, well, listen, I don't need to show up. Just y'all look at my catalog. The other girls can show up. Shedeur Sanders has been elite. He's proved his way. He don't to go out and try to do something else. They're just gonna break the game down more. People say, well, Cam Newton threw and this. Well, Cam Newton had something to prove. Cam Newton could have been. He could have been not. Somebody could have took him probably at number 6 or number 7. But once they saw that he wanted to compete, they was like, you know what? We're not gonna worry about the accuracy problem. He competed. I don't think Shedeur Sanders needs to do anything because they only gonna break it down. If he missed one throw, it's gonna be bad. So Shedeur Sanders for me is, I won't say he's the best quarterback in the draft because I do like Cam Ward if he's with a good team, but I like Shedeur Sanders to lead a team to wherever they want to go. I think he's as good as any quarterback in this draft.
Oh, I think he's headed to, like, it's not even close to me. It's Shedeur.
You don't think Cam Ward is close to his athletic ability?
No, I think Shedeur is just that much smarter and like that much more prepared for the NFL than every other quarterback. Like, and he's only going to get that much better when you're able to watch every single game that you play with Tom Brady in that week and go over what you did wrong and what you did right. However Shedeur is right now, he's going to be that much better by the time the season comes around. And especially if he goes to like, I even like him at the Giants. I think you're going to see the Raiders try to trade up for him. And if he gets in that same building as Tom, because Tom's a friggin' Raiders owner, like you're just going to see his development go crazy.
What do you think, Harambe?
I think he's the better quarterback because of the height. So he's been under the spotlight already, and he's had some bad losses already. And he's been able to bounce back. I don't think he has anything to prove either. And I think he's NFL ready. I think having his dad, who his dad is, will mentally prepare him for some of the jargon that comes along with being a starting quarterback.
His brother's in the draft class too.
Yeah.
Right. They talking about he might have to walk on. But, I mean, I don't think it matters. I think he still can make the special team.
Wow. The running backs are just so crazy in this. It's not going to surprise me. A lot of these guys going undrafted and just getting to pick where they want to go. And that's not a bad thing.
It's not.
Because you're picking.
Right. All right, Maximus, who is your college guy that we should be paying attention to?
I like Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, the running back. He's you always hear about a second gear. He doesn't have a second gear. He's got a second, a third, and a fourth. And the guy is fucking crazy when he runs. So you know how Le'Veon Bell, when he was in Pittsburgh in the heyday, was very nice, let the block set up, but he had those dancing feet.
Yes.
Sampson does it in his first gear, running forward slowly. And then as they're starting, he goes to a second gear And then when defenders are starting to come along, he goes to that third gear. And then when he hits the open field, he hits his fourth. Like, I've never seen anything like this running back. I'm very interested to see how he does like the cone drills, not so much the 40, but like the cones where you got to do those stops and goes. Because I don't think he's going to have to stop. He's able to do stuff in that first gear where, yeah, it's not great, but nobody else is running like that. It's very unique.
I like that. I like how you broke that down, because that's everybody. I believe when it comes to football, it's like art. Everybody paints their picture a little bit different. And you telling me how Sampson, how his feet is. I saw him play a little bit of Tennessee. I picked him on a couple of FanDuel lineups, but I know the guy who put up the stats, but I didn't know that he was kind of like Le'Veon Bell, where he has the patience and has the build-up speed. He's setting up the blockers and the defenders. I didn't know he ran like that.
But 10 times more smooth than Le'Veon Bell ever thought of.
10 times?
That's 10 times. Like when he gets the ball, man, it looks like he's running. Like it'd probably be me running full speed. But that's his gear one. And then as soon as the blocker hits a guy, that's when he goes to gear two and starts speeding up. So then the blockers start coming off. And as they're coming off that block, when he's going through the hole, he hits that third gear. So now he's running past these guys on the line. And then when he gets to that second level, that's when he hits the fourth gear. And watch out, he can run through you. He can juke you. Like, he's a lot like Barkley like that. Like, he's got a big bag of tricks with 4 speeds.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting, man. I'm going to have to write him down, man. Hopefully, Harami don't draft him in a couple leagues that we in.
I might.
Gotta see where these guys go still, too. But
Right. Go ahead, Harami.
My guy is pretty common. It's Ashton from Boise.
Okay.
I want to see where he goes. And the trend in the NFL last year was running backs, right? Maximus said he thinks that the return of the 3-down backs come in this year. And I think teams probably want to try to do what Philly did with their running game and Baltimore and whatnot. And based on where this guy goes, he could be, a massive upgrade to a team. That's like a common player. I have 2 other guys that I'm waiting to see where they go, and they're defensive players. They're both defensive linemen, Shamar Stewart and Mike Green. So these are guys who, if they have good combines, and I'm not sure if they win already. I think one of them's going today or yesterday. One's from Marshall and Shamar Stewart's from Texas A&M. So if a team can get one of these guys who already has a good defensive line, like maybe the Lions can trade up and grab one of these guys or something like that, or one of these playoff teams who need a defensive player, these guys could help get a potential team to the next level in the playoffs. So Mike Green from Marshall and Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M.
Okay, you gave us some IDP.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. That's what I need to incorporate IDP a little bit more, because I do IDP. So yeah, I love that. And I can't challenge any of y'all guys. I'm not gonna sit and try to fake it. I like Genty. I like Sampson. So I'm not gonna try to fight. I'm pretty sure y'all like Shadir. I said, hey, Harami, because you be on all my lives.
I remember what you said about Shadir.
Right.
You got a serious clap back for it.
Right. Right. Thank you. I'm so glad I got somebody here that can attest to this. But yes, I said, I think Shadir is the best quarterback. I think he actually going to be one of the best prospects of all time coming out of the quarterback. TD, they say he might not even get drafted. Didn't somebody tell me that he might not even get drafted?
Yeah, it was something like that, or he'll fall in the draft or something. He's getting drafted for sure.
Right. Right. So we're going to do a couple of these comments, guys, and then we're going to get out of here. Let me see. So, Kretz, what's going on, Kretz? What's up, bro? Kretz is in one of my leagues, too, my listener leagues. He said, you sure the Bengals don't use a second or third on a running back, and how good this upcoming class is? They could, but they need to get offensive linemen first. So, listen, man, like Maximus just said, there's going to be a lot of late-round running backs that's going to push out some of these guys that got drafted last year and the year before. So I'm okay with that. But I think Chase got a nice little role. But what we got to start doing in fantasy, guys, you got to draft players that got roles. I know you want everybody getting 100% carries, but David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs had a role. So you're not going to see running backs. To me, you're not going to see nobody getting a lot of 100% of carries. You're going to have to know what guys do. Like Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry. He's a first round, second round pick, but he's not getting 100% of the carries. He's not getting 100% of the snaps. But I still like Derrick Henry. So yes, I think Chase Brown is going to be good, but they will bring somebody else in. What do y'all guys think, really quick?
I think they need.
Worst case for Chase Brown is he's a change of pace back, right?
Yes.
Worst case.
Worst case scenario. And he still can be good in that role. You can still be top 12 in that role. Austin Eckler did it for 2 years. Respect to Rama. He calls him Walmart Austin Eckler.
I'm a big Chase Brown fan. I think he's going to have another great year this year for what his role is. But as a Bengals fan, I would like them to upgrade the O-line and then bring in a running back.
Right.
You got to keep Joe Burrow healthy.
Right. The Gone Network says, I have Barkley, Breach Hall, Chase Brown, Ken Walker. Would you trade one for a wide receiver? If so, which one? My wide receivers are DK, Higgins, McLaurin, J-Mo, Mooney, and PPR. So this is what I would do. I will hold on to these running backs because you never know when you're going to need one. And I would just draft a wide receiver. I wouldn't trade no running backs. If you get a running back on your team, keep them. Unless you're going to go and you're going to be able to get a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. If you can't switch off of that, I wouldn't do it. Now, maybe these guys might have a player, and there's probably some good players out there that you could trade for and get some value. But I like having a bunch of running backs in Dynasty because what happens, Maximus, in week 13, and you got a couple of guys down on an ankle injuries. You need a running back. And if I can deploy Breach Hall, Chase Brown, and Ken Walker, I feel good about doing that.
You're not wrong in this particular case. I would flip Walker for Terry McLaurin.
No, he got Terry McLaurin already.
Yeah, those are his wide receivers.
Yeah, those are his wide receivers.
I would trade Kenneth Walker as well.
I'm a dumbass.
For who though? I've got to ask. I got to put your back against the wall. For who?
I don't know. He didn't really say who's there. Let's see where.
Yeah, I need examples. I thought he was potentially acquiring one of these wide receivers.
Let me check Fantasy Pros overall. See where they got Kenneth Walker here.
Right. I trade Kenneth Walker too if I'm gonna get somebody good. But if I got to trade Kenneth Walker and get, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a player. Kristen Kirk? No, I'm not doing it.
They've got him as team. They've got him in the 5th tier as the 11th running back, 37th overall. Wide receivers around there that you could get: Devontae Smith, Roma Dunze, Tet McKinnon, Zay Flowers, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison. And
I wouldn't do it for Zay Flowers. I would do it for Zay.
I would do it for Moore.
Yeah, I would do it for Moore too. Roma Dunze would be another guy.
Hell no, Sean.
Zach Charbonnet has a better skill set than Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker cannot stay healthy.
Not only that, look at Kenneth Walker last year. He had all the opportunities in the world, couldn't do anything. When he got hurt, what did Zach Charbonnet come in and do the same system?
Had 2 or 3 good games.
Yeah. Yes. And then Kenneth Walker come back and they went back to him and they were shit again. So that's why they didn't make the playoffs.
Plus, if JSN is going to take that leap up, that's going to be less chances, in my opinion, for Walker. And Charbonnet is a better pass blocking running back.
Yep.
That's just my take, though.
Right. The Fantasy Network says, I changed my mind. These guys would be taking all the guys I like if I played in a redraft league with them.
Dude.
And, hey, welcome to making content. Guys, imagine, and Robbie understands this. Harambe always say, yeah, Tita, I get it, man. You talk about all these players, and you get to the draft, you can't get them. I can't get my guys. I can't get my secret guys. And that's good, guys. I want it that way. Because one, I know you respect my opinion on players. And I like playing in tough leagues. And a lot of my sleepers, I don't get sleepers. But when I go and play in like redraft leagues, like on these platforms, I get my sleepers. I really do well on some of these leagues because I get to get my sleepers. But yeah, man, when you make content, don't try to win. I wouldn't say win championships, but don't be surprised when your players are always getting taken when you make content.
Yep.
It's like putting what you want out there for everyone to see, right?
Right.
Right. I don't know about you guys, but I've got basically it's like a phone book and I keep all my leagues in there. And I've got not only that, each team owner, every move they've ever made and how they think and how they like to play fantasy. Like that's the level I'm on when I not only know my team, I know your team, I know your team, I know your team. It's like romperoo, just seeing through a mirror.
Right.
You're like the Dexter of fantasy football.
Right.
Well, pretty much. I'm fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's why I decided to start doing content. I'm like, I might as well. It's like second nature to me. I'm already doing this anyways.
That's funny, dude.
The Fantasy Network says the Doomsday can be contested, but he's a route runner as well. He will be very good very soon. Martin Torres says, my sleepers, the Ravens tight end Likely. Y'all knew that. I wasn't going to bring him up on this. I love Likely. I think Likely is, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, and I could be crazy. I think Likely is the best tight end in the game now that Travis Kelce has took the back seat. I think Likely is just as good as Brock Bowers. He just hasn't been deployed that way. If I'm the Ravens, I'm paying him right now, because if he goes out and has a good season, it's going to cost him too much. So if you sign him right now to a deal, you can keep Likely. I think he's going to be a good transition moving on for Mark Andrews as he gets older to Likely. And Likely is going to be the number one wide receiver for his targets on this team, not for his position wise.
You think he's better than Trey McBride?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. And listen, we talking about, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, right? We talking about two elite guys, but I do believe that Likely, because I think he's faster.
Yeah, like he's more athletic than McBride for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that crazy of a take, dude. I wouldn't put him up above Bowers, but if he got more targets, he could probably put up similar game logs.
Right.
Bowers is pretty much the offense there. In Baltimore, you have a couple different weapons to choose from, but yeah, I still think Likely's underrated also, man. I'd like to see him get 7 to 9 targets a game.
Yes. You see, when he got 9 targets, he almost had 200 yards. They never gave him 9 targets. That's why, listen, I love the Ravens. I love the offensive coordinator. I can't think of his name right now. But they dropped the ball twice. They dropped the ball by not giving Derrick Henry the ball in the championship game. And they also dropped the ball. You never gave Likely those type of targets again.
Nope. They didn't all season. He had that week 1 where he fucking had 3 touchdowns and like almost 200 yards. And then they just took him right out of the game plan. What are you doing? You came out with the right set for your team because you don't have the wide receivers. You come out in that 12 personnel with you got 2 stud tight ends. And you should be looking to Likely just as much as you are Andrews, but they didn't. They got away from it.
They didn't have,
and I don't know why.
They didn't have Zay in that game, right?
No, they had Zay in the first game. But that
not against the Bills though.
To the playoffs, they didn't have Zay, and that should have been Likely opportunity to get 10 targets.
The first game they played the Chiefs.
Yeah,
because Likely just missed that 4th touchdown at the back, his toe or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't have Zay in that. I think it was against the Bills. They didn't have Zay, so
the
fact they didn't use him in that moment was mind blowing to me.
Right. Let's see. Fleech says, Bootius Maximus 8, 9, 11. I don't know what he mean by that.
Bootius Maximus. It sounds funny.
Craig says JSN in the 3rd round. I think he's a 3rd round pick, just depending on what type of league it is.
If you have an early pick and then it in a snake draft and it comes back to you, you can land some nice players right there. He could be one of them.
Craig says you're forgetting about Rashid Rice. Once he's back, it's going to be those 2 drawing in the most targets.
He going to jail.
Well, not only that, how many players do well coming off a knee injury? It always takes a year to get freaking back into the groove again and comfortable with it. I expect a down year for Rice, but the next year,
me too. I expect Xavier Worthy the ball out. Yeah,
doesn't he? He has to. I think he did his trial in December, so the NFL could still suspend him.
Yeah,
and he got hurt. Patrick Mahomes destroyed his kneecaps.
Right. I guess they should bring him back a little early. That way, when he gets suspended, he could be getting better and like suspended.
Rehabbing. Yeah,
he can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I'm sure they will.
I don't want to kill any birds.
Thomas says, "What up, TD? Damn, just woke up, missed the show, brother. And go back and watch it. We watch it."
Yeah.
He says, "My Seahawks won a fullback this year." I can see that.
All these 2 high safeties, you might see the fullback come back.
Come on now. Hector says Hampton and Henderson.
Might be some combine players.
Right. I don't know who Henderson is. Thomas says, I heard Patrick Rashad from the Ravens would be a candidate for the Seahawks. Oh, they not bringing him back? I can't see them letting him go.
Well, I think he's an unrestricted free agent. So if the Seahawks were to offer too much money than what the Ravens are able to pay, you could steal him away, right?
Oh, okay.
Basically, how the Niners got Jusic from them.
Right.
Yeah, you might not need him anymore with the running back that they have.
Yeah, in the system that they deploy. You're right,
Yeah.
Robbie. I thought about that. But, bro, you never know. You might go to a snow game. You might have to get an I formation. You never know.
It's true.
Well, that's why your tight ends also use that position. And when you got Likely and Andrews, one of them needs to learn how to block.
You're right.
Andrews
Mark
can block
Andrews,
like that. So why not throw Andrews at that
Andrews.
fullback spot, put Likely in a tight end?
That's some Madden shit right there.
Hey, it is. Right. The Go Network says, thanks, guys, for your input. Appreciate it. Anytime, brother. I appreciate you being here. Thomas says, I always memorize everyone in the roster in my home league. Every year, I'll look at them like 10 times a day.
If you're not in that app for at least 30% of your day, you're not doing it right.
30% of your day? What about 50 to 60% of the day?
I mean, like, I'm talking about at work.
Right. I'm talking about at work, too.
And, dude, like, for me, thing I've noticed the last few years in fantasy is the comments on players. Like, there's the funniest shit in these comments. So if you need to laugh or some crazy ass take, just go to a player and read their comments. It's hilarious.
Right. He says, can't make a move for Likely until Andrews is gone. I think, bro, you waiting too late. I think you got to go make the move now. That's where you can get them cheap. Now, if you got a lot of, if you don't mind paying a couple first round picks or something for them, then yeah. But right now it's the time to get them. You could get Likely for what, guys? A third or a second round?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
I would say a third. I wouldn't pay a second for him.
Right.
No, I wouldn't either.
Third, though. In a tight end premium, I would pay a second for him.
Oh, in a premium, yeah. I'm just thinking normal leagues.
Not
normal leagues, I wouldn't. No.
Yeah.
Most people don't do tight end premium leagues.
Right.
True.
All right. The Go Network says might change after that playoff game, though. Right. And y'all, maybe y'all can help me with this. RM Cover says, love me some Tootin. What's Tootin? Is that a player in the draft?
Probably. Maximus is on the case.
There's not many players I haven't heard of, so
right.
Yeah, running back from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
First, when he said Tootin, I'm not even gonna tell y'all what I thought he was trying to say. I thought he was trying to troll, right? I thought he was trying to be funny.
Nah, if that was a troll, he would have gotten way more creative.
Right.
5'8" though, so 5'8" to 11.
Ooh, that dude built like a tree stump.
Yeah.
Paul.
And his role is labeled as a workhorse back on NFL Draft Buzz.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Tootin. Yeah, that's right. I'm from that. Yeah, I remember Tootin. He had some good games in the ACC. I remember him now.
There's a lot of good backs, man. We haven't even talked about Cam Scipito or a whole bunch of other these guys. Like, I love Cam Scipito. You can't fucking knock that guy down. I want to see what he does in the end. I don't think he's going to have a great combine. I think he's probably going to go as an undrafted baby or a late round pick. But once he gets into camp and nobody can fucking tackle him,
then
you can't deny the fucking guy. Like, you got to put him in.
kind of like the guy from Kansas City that we thought was going to get a nice role, but he kept fumbling.
Oh, Carson Steele?
Kind of like Carson Steele.
He didn't really have talent. That was just a guy that big fat Andy Reid fell in love with and wanted to get him involved.
Yeah, he was a white running back.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have the skill set to be in the NFL. That's for sure. He just the coach loves him.
He has a pet alligator though, so that's kind of cool.
Right, like the guy on Any Given Sunday.
Yeah.
Tommy says my home league is in Yahoo, so of the player comments are wild for sure.
Dude, it's becoming my favorite thing is the comments. Like, people are unhinged in these comment sections. It's fucking hilarious.
What do you guys think of Tet McKinnon?
Hey, what team he play on?
He's in the draft. It's him and Luther Burton are the top two wide receivers with a big as the third right now.
Oh, okay.
I think
I haven't did any research on the guys yet. I want the combine numbers to come out and then I'm gonna get on them. I don't want to.
Oh, he'll do amazing in the combine. He's 6'5". He's really fast, but he's like Chase Claypool 2.0. If you go back and you look at his college numbers for last year, Yeah, he had 1,300 yards. Yeah, he had 12 touchdowns. But if you go and you look at the 5 games that he played of teams ranked 100th or worse, 850 yards, 8 of those touchdowns come from those 5 games. When he played teams that were ranked in the top 50, yeah, I think he had 4 games against guys in the top 50. So guys who might be in the league, guys who might not. He never played any top 25 talent. He barely got over 150 yards, and he had 0 touchdowns in those games.
Yeah, that's a good stat. That lets you know this is a guy that he's just using his physical ability. He doesn't know the game.
No,
So when he's playing inferior talent like me, you, and Arambi, he can have big games, but can he ball against professional players? And that's probably a no.
Yeah, he's a trap to me.
Right.
I would just commit pass interference.
Yeah, right. RM says Toothman will run a 4-4, maybe a sub 4-4. Number 2 wide receivers, Thomas was talking about. RM Cover says, I got Mike Evans, Comp, and Drake. So he's saying he's kind of similar to Mike Evans, the guy that I think you're talking about.
I don't know much about him. I got to do research.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, let's get out of here. Harambe, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
If you guys want, I haven't been doing much on my YouTube channel. It's Harambe's Jungle. I do like shorts and stuff. And as we get closer to the season, I'll do more shorts. Eventually, I want to do like music reviews and like stuff like that too. So if you guys are into that, go check out Harambe's Jungle. Other than that, TD, it's always fun to do these lives with you. And Maximus, good to meet you today, sir. This was fun. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
And guys, we're gonna try to do this every Saturday, and I'm gonna bring them on throughout the week whenever they are available, because we all got stuff going on. But I want to bring more of a panel up this year. I'm gonna try to do this on Sunday mornings during the season. I'm gonna do some mock drafts. I was gonna do a mock draft today, but I knew it was gonna take too long for us to do the breakdown. So maybe going into the next Saturday, we might do a mock draft, and then maybe Sunday do a mock draft. And if y'all free, you're welcome to come up and we can break down the teams and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of mock drafts, at least three a week.
Mm.
Oh, you mean like fantasy mock drafts? Okay.
Yeah, fantasy mock drafts, right? Yeah, fantasy mock drafts.
No, yeah, Alex just have like an actual mock draft coming for the NFL. We do
right.
So I'm like thinking, okay, I gotta start that early, but no.
right. Anything you want to say, Maximus, before we get out of here?
Check us out on Fantasy Blind Spot with my co-host Alex French. We air Tuesdays and Fridays. We talk a lot of football. We do a lot of fun segments. We ended off with a segment, basically question stuff around the world and maybe looking at things a little differently than most wouldn't. Call it conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call it. We just call it what we see at the real world. Check us out. Like that fun, talk football.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. This is cutting edge content. Y'all guys be safe. Peace.